I'm Dr. Ava, a medical professional passionate about urology, reproductive health, sexual wellness, and relationship science. This channel helps you understand your body better, break myths, and make informed choices with honesty and respect. What if the secret to higher testosterone wasn't a supplement, a workout, or even a food, but something you do dozens of times every minute without realizing it? I'm talking about your mouth, specifically the way you use it to breathe. Because here's the wild part. A growing body of research suggests that the way you breathe, mouth versus nose, can directly influence your hormonal balance, nitric oxide levels, and even the way your body signals testosterone production. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, really, breathing, stay with me. This is where urology meets biochemistry in the most unexpected way. You see, testosterone isn't just a male hormone. It's a metabolic signal, one that affects energy, muscle repair, libido, bone density, and even cognitive resilience. And like every metabolic pathway, it's deeply tied to oxygen utilization, circulation, and cellular communication. And one of the most overlooked regulators of those processes is nitric oxide, a molecule produced in abundance when you breathe through your nose, but almost none when you breathe through your mouth. So today, we're going to dive deep into what I call the mouth trick, a deceptively simple shift that can naturally enhance testosterone by improving blood flow, mitochondrial performance, and endocrine signaling without a single pill. We'll explore how oral posture, nasal breathing, and nitric oxide interact with testicular Leydig cells, sleep quality, micronutrients, and stress physiology. By the end, you'll have a blueprint for boosting testosterone from the inside out, literally starting with your next breath. Let's start with what seems almost too simple to be true: how the way you breathe can influence your testosterone. Here's what's happening at the cellular level. When you breathe through your nose, tiny structures in your nasal passages called the paranasal sinuses produce a molecule called nitric oxide. It's one of the most powerful signaling molecules in human physiology. Nitric oxide tells your blood vessels to relax, expand, and deliver more oxygen and nutrients to tissues including your brain, muscles, and, yes, your reproductive organs. When you switch to mouth breathing, that nitric oxide production drops dramatically. You also lose the pressure regulation that helps keep your airways open and oxygen uptake efficient. Over time, this can lead to chronic low-grade hypoxia, low oxygen delivery, which stresses your mitochondria, raises cortisol, and decreases the activity of Leydig cells, the cells in your testes responsible for producing testosterone. A 2008 paper in the Journal of Applied Physiology showed that nasal breathing during exercise increases nitric oxide levels by up to 200%, improving oxygen delivery and vascular tone. Another study in the International Journal of Impotence Research found that improved endothelial function, largely nitric oxide, driven directly correlates with higher circulating testosterone and better erectile function. Let me break this down simply. If your blood vessels are sluggish, your hormonal signaling will be too. Testosterone synthesis depends on circulation not just to deliver nutrients, but to remove inflammatory waste products that can suppress endocrine output. So when we talk about the mouth trick, what we're really saying is this: keep your mouth closed, breathe through your nose, and let your own body chemistry do the work. If this breakdown is resonating with you so far, go ahead and press the hype button, drop a quick comment, and hit subscribe. It helps more people discover this kind of science-backed health content. In the next section, we'll explore the fascinating link between nitric oxide and the mitochondria, and how this small molecule acts as a molecular switch for testosterone production at the cellular level. Now let's zoom in deeper right into the mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside every cell. because this is where nitric oxide's magic meets testosterone production head-on. Here's what's happening at the cellular level. Testosterone synthesis begins when your brain signals the testes through luteinizing hormone LH. LH binds to receptors on Leydig cells, which then use cholesterol as the raw material to build testosterone. But to do that efficiently, those Leydig cells need oxygen, ATP, and proper mitochondrial function, and this is where nitric oxide plays a fascinating dual role. At low physiologic levels, the kind you get from nasal breathing, sunlight exposure, leafy greens, and beetroot nitrates, nitric oxide enhances mitochondrial respiration. It helps regulate oxygen flow, reduces oxidative stress, and keeps energy production efficient. That means more ATP, more cellular power, and more testosterone synthesis. But when nitric oxide levels drop from mouth breathing, inflammation, or nutrient deficiencies, the mitochondria become less efficient. They start producing more reactive oxygen species ROS, damaging membranes and downregulating the enzymes that convert cholesterol to testosterone. Think of nitric oxide as a traffic light for energy, green light at optimal levels, red light when it's deficient. You can't build hormones if the power plants that make them are short on fuel. A study in Endocrinology 2016 showed that mitochondrial function in Leydig cells determines testosterone output, and that nitric oxide signaling acts as a key modulator. Another in Free Radical Biology and Medicine linked higher mitochondrial ROS to suppressed testosterone synthesis in animal models. So when you improve nitric oxide levels through nasal breathing, sunlight, polyphenols, and movement, you're not just improving circulation. You're literally powering up your mitochondria to make more hormone at the source. If you're enjoying this breakdown, consider subscribing. I post weekly deep dives into longevity and cellular health science. Next, we'll move into one of the biggest testosterone disruptors in modern life, poor sleep and mouth breathing at night, and how that combination quietly erodes hormonal balance. Here's something few people realize. About 70% of your daily testosterone is released while you sleep, specifically during the deep, slow wave and REM phases. And if you're a mouth breather at night, you're probably sabotaging that release every single evening without knowing it. Let's unpack why. During deep sleep, your brain downshifts into repair mode. Growth hormone surges, cortisol drops, and your testes receive a powerful signal to produce testosterone. But this entire hormonal orchestra depends on oxygen quality, not just quantity. When you breathe through your mouth, your airway collapses more easily, oxygen saturation drops, and carbon dioxide levels plummet. That imbalance raises sympathetic tone, your stress response spiking cortisol, which directly suppresses testosterone synthesis. A 2019 study in JAMA Network Open found that men with untreated sleep apnea had significantly lower morning testosterone levels independent of age or BMI. Another, in Frontiers in Endocrinology, showed that fragmented sleep reduces luteinizing hormone pulses, blunting the body's natural testosterone rhythm. Here's what's happening at the cellular level. Low oxygen and high cortisol impair mitochondrial ATP generation and nitric oxide signaling in Leydig cells. Think of it like trying to run a factory during a power outage. Production slows and quality control collapses. That's why even subtle mouth breathing, the kind that dries your throat or causes snoring, can become a silent testosterone drain. The fix: retrain your nighttime breathing. Start by taping your mouth lightly with hypoallergenic sleep tape, elevating your head slightly, and optimizing nasal airflow with saline rinses or nasal dilators. These micro adjustments can radically improve oxygenation, nitric oxide production, and hormonal recovery. If you're finding this helpful, tap the hype button and share your thoughts in the comments. And of course, subscribe if you want more deep dives into nutrition, mitochondrial health, and longevity science. In the next section, we'll move from sleep to sustenance, exploring the micronutrients that directly fuel nitric oxide and testosterone synthesis. Let's talk about fuel, not calories, but the micronutrient chemistry that powers your endocrine system. Because here's a key truth: hormones don't just appear. They're built, step by step, through enzymatic reactions that depend on specific vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. And when even one of those cofactors runs low, testosterone production falters no matter how hard you train or how clean you eat. Here's what's happening at the cellular level. The Leydig cells in your testes convert cholesterol into testosterone through an enzyme cascade called steroidogenesis. Each step requires micronutrient support. Zinc activates 17-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, the final enzyme that converts androstenedione into testosterone. Even mild zinc deficiency has been shown in Nutrition 2006 to reduce serum testosterone within weeks. Magnesium modulates free testosterone by decreasing SHBG sex hormone, binding globulin, keeping more hormone bioavailable. Vitamin D acts as a transcription factor, meaning it turns on genes that increase testosterone synthesis and receptor sensitivity. Nitrates from foods like beetroot, arugula, and spinach feed into the nitric oxide cycle, amplifying blood flow and oxygen delivery to the gonads. Polyphenols from pomegranate, cocoa, green tea protect nitric oxide from oxidative breakdown, extending its lifespan. Think of these nutrients as the raw materials and maintenance crew of your hormonal machinery. Without them, nitric oxide can't signal properly, mitochondria can't generate energy efficiently, and your Leydig cells simply can't keep up. Practically speaking, focus on daily intake of nitrate, rich greens and colorful produce. 30-40 mg of zinc from food or supplement if deficient. 200-400 mg of magnesium glycinate or malate. Optimal vitamin D3 levels between 50-80 ng/ml, ideally supported by morning sunlight. And don't forget antioxidant balance, because oxidative stress degrades both nitric oxide and testosterone pathways. Before we move on, a quick reminder: if you're enjoying this, smash that hype button, like, comment, and subscribe. It really supports the channel and helps spread these tools to more people. Next, we'll explore the concept of hormetic stress, how strategic challenges like cold, heat, and exercise can actually raise testosterone by strengthening your cellular resilience. Now that we've talked about nutrients, let's explore something that sounds counterintuitive: stress. Not chronic, draining stress, but the right kind of stress, short, deliberate challenges that make your body stronger. This is the principle of hormesis, and it's one of the most powerful natural testosterone boosters known to science. Here's what's happening at the cellular level. When you expose your body to controlled stressors like heat sauna, cold ice baths, or resistance exercise, your mitochondria experience a brief surge in reactive oxygen species. That tiny spike acts as a signal, activating genes that increase antioxidant defenses, improve nitric oxide signaling, and enhance mitochondrial efficiency. Think of it like upgrading your operating system. Every hormetic challenge refines your cellular machinery, making it more efficient at energy production and more responsive to anabolic signals like testosterone. Let's get specific. Heat exposure sauna increases heat shock proteins that protect Leydig cells and improve blood flow. A Finnish study in Biology of Sport showed regular sauna use elevates testosterone and growth hormone transiently while improving vascular function. Cold exposure triggers norepinephrine and mitochondrial biogenesis, improving brown fat activity, circulation, and hormone sensitivity. Resistance training remains the gold standard. Brief, high-intensity bouts signal your hypothalamus to ramp up luteinizing hormone and testosterone secretion. But the key is balance. Chronic overtraining or excessive fasting flips hormesis into damage-raising cortisol and draining testosterone. So remember, recovery is part of the adaptation loop. Practical takeaway: stack Hormetic habits daily. Finish showers cold for 30 seconds. Hit the sauna 2-3 times a week. Lift weights that challenge but don't exhaust you. Your mitochondria and your hormones will thank you. If this science-backed approach resonates with you, press the hype button, share your experience in the comments, and subscribe to stay tuned for weekly deep dives into nutrition, cellular health, and longevity. Next up, we'll bring everything together: how to integrate breathing, nutrients, sleep, and hormesis into one powerful lifestyle blueprint for sustained testosterone and lifelong vitality. We've explored the mechanisms: nitric oxide, mitochondria, sleep, micronutrients, and hormetic stress. But now it's time to connect the dots, because none of these systems work in isolation. The real power comes from integration, aligning your biology with the rhythms it evolved for. Here's how it all ties together. When you breathe through your nose, you boost nitric oxide, which enhances blood flow and mitochondrial efficiency. That oxygen rich circulation delivers nutrients: zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, and antioxidants right where testosterone is made, your Leydig cells. Those cells, supported by good sleep and a stable circadian rhythm, respond to hormonal cues more effectively. And when you add hormetic stress, a cold plunge, a hard lift, a sauna, you strengthen that entire feedback loop, increasing resilience and receptor sensitivity. This is systems biology in action. Each layer amplifies the others. Let me give you a practical way to weave this into daily life. Morning, step outside, sunlight on your eyes and skin. It raises dopamine and sets your circadian clock. Practice 2 minutes of nasal breathing before your first sip of coffee. Midday, eat nitrate-rich greens or beet juice to feed your nitric oxide cycle. Lift weights or do a brief high-intensity session. Evening, transition with magnesium, a walk after dinner, and mouth taping to ensure nasal breathing through the night. Weekly, stack hormetic challenges: sauna twice, cold exposure twice, rest deeply once. This isn't a hack. It's an ecosystem, a living rhythm that keeps your hormonal orchestra tuned. If this integration framework is lighting you up, hit that hype button, leave a comment about which habit you'll start first, and subscribe for more evidence-based deep dives into metabolic and longevity science. Up next, we'll close this out with the final section: your action plan and challenge to bring these tools to life and sustain your testosterone for decades. Let's bring everything full circle. What started as a simple mouth trick has turned into a window into your body's deep intelligence: how breathing, circulation, micronutrients, sleep, and hormetic stress weave together to regulate not just testosterone, but the very machinery of life itself. Here's the recap. Breathe through your nose. It's not just about airflow, it's about nitric oxide, the molecule that fuels blood flow, mitochondrial efficiency, and hormonal communication. Protect your sleep. That's when 70% of your testosterone is released. Eliminate mouth breathing, manage stress, and create a sleep environment that honors deep recovery. Feed your enzymes. Zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, and nitrates are the biochemical spark plugs that keep testosterone production running. Train your resilience. Hormetic stress from heat, cold, and lifting doesn't just build muscle. It reprograms your cells to become stronger, more efficient, and more responsive to anabolic signals. Integrate it all. Consistency is the multiplier. One habit done daily beats a dozen done occasionally. Because at the cellular level, everything you do, every breath, every bite, every night's sleep is either signaling your body to thrive or to decline. Testosterone is simply the reflection of that larger conversation, so here's my challenge. This week, pick one habit. Tape your mouth at night, add a beet salad at lunch, take a cold shower after your workout. Small actions, repeated daily, compound into profound physiological shifts. And if this episode brought you value, if you feel more empowered to take charge of your biology, hit that hype button, share it with someone who needs this science, and subscribe to join our growing community optimizing nutrition, mitochondria, and longevity. Remember, you don't need a pill to boost your testosterone, just your breath, your biology, and your consistency. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep your mitochondria humming.